Today's lesson is called The Story of B-24. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff.
My name is Roger, and we're summarizing a short story that was written way back in 1899, and it was written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the author of the Sherlock Holmes stories. And this is kind of related. It's a crime story, and we're summarizing it. Remember, it's written in the first person, so in the first part of our lesson, it was basically a letter to a lawyer from someone who's in prison. And that person has been accused of murder, but they think they're not guilty of murder. And then the writer tells us the actual story. Basically, he was talking to an innkeeper, and the innkeeper told him about Mannering Hall, where there was this old Lord Mannering who had a lot of money. He was extremely rich, but his wife was a young woman, beautiful, but she didn't love him. She just loved his money, but she was still miserable. And here the writer of the story thought, I tried to make an honest living before, but all I could find was a part-time job. So I want to go to that place, Mannering Hall, and steal those medals.
Yeah, I can't really make ends meet, okay, right now. As an honest man, I'm not making it, so, maybe I'll take a crack at Mannering Hall. I'll find a way to break in there, and I'll steal those medals. Yeah, who cares about the people living there? They've got marital problems. They don't like each other or something like that, but who cares? I'll sneak in, they'll be asleep, and I'll get those priceless gold medals, and then maybe I can take those to a pawn shop and offload them and make a pretty penny, make some money for once. Now, that was the plan. Will this plan work out? No, this person, after all, is in jail. But how did all of this come about? That's what we'll learn about today. So I say we get started. When we come back from this short break here, we'll start reading from the second portion, of this month's story called The Story of B-24.
That evening, I broke into Mannering Hall. Opening the window with my knife, I entered and, to my surprise, saw a woman standing before me. "You are very welcome," Lady Mannering said. She told me she had seen me approach the house and would be happy to help me carry out the burglary. At first, I thought she wanted to trick me. When I asked her why she wished to help me, she replied, "It's because I hate him." Remembering what the innkeeper had told me, I knew she was referring to her husband.
各位好，第一部分我们看到片语 carry out 表示履行、完成、进行、执行。例如 As your elected official, I will carry out all my promises made during the campaign. 作为诸位选出的官员，我会履行在竞选时所有的承诺。或是 They carried out the attack when the enemy was least expecting it. 他们趁敌人毫无防备时发动攻击。另外，补充两个含有 carry 的相关片语。第一 carry off 表示获得成功，像是 Roger carried off his speech successfully.Roger 成功地完成他的演说。第二 carry over 表示继续存留下来。举例来说 Steve's previous salary carried over to his new job in the company. Steve 在这家公司新工作的薪资和之前的一样。
Okay, so the story continues here. Our thief here, our burglar, says, "That evening I broke into Mannering Hall." So the same day in the evening, the same day that the innkeeper told me all about the rich lord and his pretty wife and the gold medals there, I decided to break into Mannering Hall. So yeah, that's what happens when you are a burglar. You break into someone's home. That's the verb phrase here, to break into. It usually does refer to going into some place that's locked, that's closed, and you just go in there and you're not supposed to because you're going to steal something. And also in another meaning here, it could mean that you start singing like a lot of the old musicals did. People would be talking and acting, and then they would break into song.
Oh, isn't that the worst? That just ruins movies for me. I've never been able to enjoy a musical because just suddenly, for some reason or another, people start singing. They just break into song randomly. Oh, it drives me crazy.
It drives me crazy too, but you should expect that if you're watching a musical. But in any case here, that's not what it means here. Break into means that you basically try to figure out a way to get into someone's house. You pick the lock, you break the window, you smash the door down, you do whatever you can to get inside that house to steal things.
Well, here he's going to use his knife, okay, to break in. He says, opening the window with my knife, I entered and, to my surprise, saw a woman standing before me. You are very welcome, Lady Mannering said. This is strange. A thief is breaking into their home, and instead of her calling for the police, she says, You, thief, you are very welcome here. How strange.
Well, that seems very suspicious here. But in any case here, I guess our narrator here doesn't really know that. He's puzzled, though, because the woman appears before him and says, You are very welcome. Come on in. Make yourself at home. Lady Mannering said that. And then she told me she had seen me approach the house and would be happy to help me carry out the burglary. So she knew all about him coming over to the house to rob the house. She knew all about it. She saw him approach. She saw him come close to the house, and she'd be very happy to help him with the burglary. Here we've got the verb phrase to carry out. That just means to do something, especially if it's kind of a complicated plan, to carry out your plan. If, say, you've got a new marketing strategy for your company, you're going to carry it out.
Now, at first, the narrator says, I thought she wanted to trick me. When I asked her why she wished to help me, she replied, It's because I hate him. Wow. She's being quite open, or so it seems. Why is she helping this guy out? It's because she hates her husband, Lord Mannering.
Yep, she hates her husband, so she wants to help the burglar steal those medals. And so if you're the burglar, you might be suspicious here. You might think, hey, there's something rotten in Denmark here. I smell a rat. But I guess she's very convincing here. I hate him, therefore I'm going to help you carry out your burglary. And remembering what the innkeeper had told me, I knew she was referring to her husband. So yeah, she said, I hate him. He's not supposed to know who she's referring to or who she's talking about, but he did remember his conversation with the innkeeper, and the innkeeper said, yes, she does not like him. She's miserable in the marriage, even though she married him for money. Still, therefore, the burglar here knows what she was referring to, or at least he knows she was referring to her husband. And here we've got the verb phrase to refer to, which means you're actually specifically talking about something.
Anyways, folks, with that, it is time for us to take a short break, but don't go away. We'll be back with more soon.
Lady Mannering showed me the gold medals, but just then Lord Mannering came downstairs. I hid behind a curtain, forgetting to take my knife. The couple argued heatedly, and then Lord Mannering shouted, What? Would you dare to strike me? These words were followed by a dull thud. Lady Mannering had stabbed her husband with my knife, killing him.
第二部分我们看到单字 heatedly， 这个字是副词，指激烈的、愤怒的。例如 This issue has been discussed heatedly for almost a month. 这个议题已经被热烈的讨论将近1个月。另外，这个字去掉字尾 ly 就成了形容词 heated， 指激烈的、激昂的。我们可以说 Brian and Tina had a heated argument at the restaurant. Brian 跟 Tina 在餐厅起了激烈的争执。接着我们看到名词 thud， 指重击声，砰的一声。举例来说 My brother fell off the bed with a thud last night. 我弟弟昨晚蹦一声跌下床。
Okay, let's continue summarizing our featured story for this month. Then what happened? Lady Mannering showed me the gold medals. But just then, Lord Mannering came downstairs. So remember, the lady of the house, Lady Mannering, is going to help him with the burglary because she hates her husband. So she showed him where the gold medals were. But at that moment, Lord Mannering came downstairs, so it looks like they're both going to be caught.
There you go. Now, the thief hides. The thief says, I hid behind a curtain, forgetting to take my knife. Ooh, that's a detail that's probably going to be very important moving forward. They say when you're reading a piece of literature or you're watching a play, if someone introduces a weapon like a gun or a knife, someone is going to use that weapon, that gun or that knife. So here, this person has forgotten their knife. I get the terrible feeling that this knife is going to get used and it won't be for anything good.
Exactly right here, but what happened next here is the couple had a big argument. It says they argued heatedly. Heatedly is an adverb here describing the adjective heated or the action of having this really violent argument here. Well, it wasn't violent, but of course they were yelling and screaming at each other, so it was a heated argument. You could say they had a heated argument. They were yelling and screaming at each other. And then Lord Mannering shouted, "What? Would you dare to strike me?" So dare here just means that you actually think that you're able to do something and get away with it. It usually means you're kind of 过分. You've kind of gone overboard, and you sometimes will hear this, "How dare you say that to me? You have no right to say that to me." So would you dare strike me? Do you really think you can hit me and get away with it?
Yeah, usually when someone is daring, okay, you're saying that they're bold and they've got courage. They'll do something risky or dangerous. But here the idea is slightly different. The Lord is saying, are you kidding? How dare you do that to me? Would you really defy me in this way? Go so far as to hit your own husband? Are you nuts? And apparently, Lady Mannering is a little bit nuts because next she kills her husband. Yeah, that's what the thief here says. He says these words, the words by Lord Mannering, were followed by a dull thud. A sound like that. Lady Mannering had stabbed her husband with my knife, killing him. Now, I told you, the fact that he left his knife, that was going to play a critical role here. So, Lord Mannering is dead, and he's dead by the thief's knife. That's not going to be good for the thief. Anyways, here, if you stab someone with a knife, you stick a knife into that person.
That happens sometimes, and of course, when you stab someone and they die, they will fall to the floor and they will make that thud sound. It's not a pleasant sound to hear, especially if somebody gets stabbed with a knife. What a way to go. Okay, that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson. Let's continue listening to our story in the third part.
She filled my bag with the medals and told me to escape. But as I was leaving, she shouted, "Murder! Help!" Soon the police arrived and arrested me for killing Lord Mannering. That's the truth. Now, I'm begging you, investigate this woman. If you should find anything that reveals her guilt, then you'll have saved an innocent man.
第三部分我们看到单字 investigate 这个字是动词，指调查、审查。例如Mr. Carlton is being investigated by the police because they think he stole money from his company. Carlton 先生正被警察调查，因为他们认为他偷公司的钱。另外补充这个字的名词 investigation, investigation, investigation 指调查、探究，像是 After continued investigation, the detectives discovered footprints leading into the woods. 经过一再调查后，探员们发现了通往树林的脚印。最后我们看到动词 reveal 指揭露、透露、显示，像是 The man revealed himself to the police as the criminal they were looking for. 那名男子向警方透露他就是他们在找的一名罪犯。或是 The detective novel didn't reveal who the killer was until the very last page. 这本侦探小说直到最后一页才揭晓凶手是谁。另外补充一个相关片语 Reveal one's true colors 表示展现真实的一面。例如Mark revealed his true colors when he took a leave of absence to take care of his sick brother. Mark 在请长假照顾生病的弟弟时展现出真实的一面。
So Lord Mannering is dead. Lady Mannering stabbed him and killed him on the spot. At least, that's what the thief has said here. But one thing's for certain. If the thief is telling the truth, he is a thief. He's guilty of burglary, but he didn't kill anyone. The murderer is actually Lady Mannering. Anyway, she filled my bag with the medals and told me to escape, i.e., Lady Mannering said, hey, you, come out from where you were hiding. You're behind the curtain there. Come out. Here are the medals. Now, get out of here. Escape. Leave this place and get away.
That's right, escape. Leave and get out of this difficult situation. But as I was leaving, as I was escaping, she shouted, "Murder! Help!" And soon the police arrived and arrested me for killing Lord Mannering. Uh-oh, it looks like she set him up. It looks like she framed him. She made it look like he did the killing. She made it look like he's the murderer and not her.
There you go. That's the truth. Now, and he's writing to a lawyer, remember, now I'm begging you, investigate this woman. And you know what? If some of these details that he provided earlier are correct, yeah, Lady Mannering, she sounds suspicious, okay? So this person, she's not a good person. She's in love with another man, a man who's not her husband. The husband that she did marry, she only married for money. And then on top of that, remember, she's an actress, so she was able to act in front of the thief, okay? And then later, she was able to act in front of the police. And I imagine in court there, she was able to act as well as though she were an innocent woman who had just lost her husband, the great Lord Mannering.
Yes, and most people in courts will believe a young, pretty girl. Why would she lie? Of course, she's telling the truth, but that's not what happened. And here the main character of the story says, now I'm begging you, investigate this woman. You know, do some research, come to the Mannering Hall, go to Mannering Hall and collect some evidence. Look for fingerprints or DNA evidence, or check the surveillance camera footage to see who actually killed this person. Of course, I don't think they had those things at that time, but there might be some other forms of evidence, and you collect that evidence when you investigate someone or something.
Look into this clearly. Examine the scene of the crime. Examine this particular woman. Research her. Figure things out. Please investigate. Act like a detective for me and figure things out. Because if you should find anything that reveals her guilt, then you'll have saved an innocent man. So I'm writing you this letter. Why should you help me? Well, if you do, you might just save a life, the life of an innocent man. Yes, if you don't help me, I'm going to be in prison forever. So please help me, help me, help me. If you find anything that shows or reveals her guilt, you will have saved my life.
So here, to reveal just means to let people know about something that has been hidden. Maybe someday the truth will be revealed as to who murdered the politician down in Kaohsiung.
Maybe so. Maybe that will happen sometime in the future. The truth will come out. It will be uncovered. Anyways, folks, with that, it is now time for us to say bye-bye, but don't worry, don't fret. The Chinese teacher is waiting in the wings.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。好，课文第一部分有一个句子写到 I entered and to my surprise saw a woman standing before me. 好，句子里面用到 to my surprise， 它表示说令我惊讶的是。那我们这边就来介绍这个重点。To 加上 once 再加情绪名词来表达说让某人感到怎么样的事，令某人怎么样的事。那它可以用来修饰整个句子或是修饰主词，而其中的情绪名词我们要用单数哦。好，那么常见的情绪名词有 disappointment 失望， joy 快乐， shock 震惊， surprise 惊讶， regret 遗憾等等。那么 to 的前面还可以加入 much 来强调程度。举例来说 much to her disappointment She didn't get her dream job. 令她相当失望的是她没有得到她的梦想工作。好，那么另外我们可以用 in 加上情绪名词去表达处在什么样的状态中。像 in anger 可以表达愤怒的， in despair 绝望的， in fright 惊恐的害怕的， in embarrassment 尴尬的。好，例如 She screamed in excitement 表示说她兴奋的尖叫。好，那么接着读到课文最后一句，他写道 If you should find anything that reveals her guilt, then you'll have saved an innocent man. 好，那这边他用到的句型是 if 主词加上 should 再加原形动词，去表达说如果怎么样的话，万一怎么样的话。那么这样的句型是在表达未来可能发生或者是成真的结果或影响。不过它隐含就是说对这个发生的可能性是抱持强烈怀疑的，但是不排除它的可能性的语义。那我们来看看它搭配的主要子句有哪些。好，第一个我们可以在主要子句里面使用助动词，像是 will, can, may 等等。那么句型就是 if 主词 should 加动词逗号，主词加上 shall, will, can, may 等等加原形动词。例如 If they should arrive early, they will need to wait in the lobby. 万一他们提早到的话，他们将必须在大厅等候。好，第二个用法，我们可以在主要子句里面使用过去式助动词，像是 would, could 等等。那么句型是 if 主词加上 should 加动词逗号，主词加上 would, could, might 等等加原形动词。例如 If a tsunami should occur, everyone on the island would be in danger. 万一发生海啸的话，岛上所有的人都会有危险。好，第三个用法，我们可以用祈使句来当主要子句。那么句型就是 if 主词 should 加动词逗号祈使句。例如 If you should get lost in the woods, stay calm and try to find out which way is north. 万一你在森林里面迷路的话，要保持冷静，并且试着找出北方。好，那么以上是今天的重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Dare. Kevin didn't dare talk back to his father. Stab. Michael accidentally stabbed his hand with the knife. Escape. Very few criminals manage to escape from prison. Investigate. The scientists are investigating the problems caused by pollution. Reveal. Doctors are not allowed to reveal information about their patients.
Discussion Starter starts now!
And now it's time for our discussion starter. Hey, Roger. Do you believe in the narrator's innocence?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he was willing to confess that he was the burglar, so I think the narrator is innocent because, yes, he did confess his guilt for the burglary, but no, I don't think he committed the murder. I think definitely that woman was up to no good.
I still think the narrator is lying because, let's face it, we're talking to a thief. This person has admitted to being a thief over and over again. It's a whole lot easier to lie than it is to be a thief, to steal things from people. So I think that he has concocted a good lie. That's all there is to it here. I don't think he's telling the truth at all. Okay, everyone. With that, today's article is now complete. But, as always, we sure hope that you guys have enjoyed reading along with us. Anyways, I'm Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.